What do you want to start with, pros?
Hey guys,
Hello, good afternoon.
welcome to Real Estate 101. It's 1 o'clock and it's Wednesday, so you know what that means.
Real estate.
101. It is time to get started. Well, guys, I hope you have had a great week so far. We're in hump day right now, so we are midweek, all counting down our days to the weekend, and we've got some good info for you today.
Yes.
But we don't want to get too fast, too quick. Make sure that you share the stream, you comment. That's really what we need.
We just want some
and
engagement.
Likes. We need some love. So
Love on us a bit.
if you have any questions about the show, any comments, please send them in so we can answer those questions for you, or hopefully give you a little bit of help with it. I'm going to try to find us here on the stream.
Shawan, do we have a shout out today? I know we always start out Real Estate 101 with a shout out.
Yes. Why don't you go ahead and call it out?
Well, thank you. We would like to shout out Shannon Wheeler, our newest member, our newest partner of the team, Premier Mortgage Group.
Yes.
And
Again, Shannon Wheeler.
And he's been around for 2 weeks, and I feel like I'm speaking for the whole.
Oh, wait.
Scratch that.
He's going to be at... Yes.
Shout out to Weatherman.
The Weatherman. Weatherman. The Weatherman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shout out to Weatherman.
Yeah, shout out to the weatherman. He's always holding it together, helping everybody out.
Whew, and that'll kickstart us right into our show topic here.
And the show topic is.
And our show topic today is pros and cons of an HOA.
Some people love them. Some people hate them.
Some of them are very expensive.
Yes.
Very expensive.
What's the most expensive HOA you've ever seen?
I think
monthly.
I think the highest monthly HOA that I have ever seen in our county is over at River Oaks. Is it called River Oaks? I'm trying to think. Stevie, help me out.
Which one?
It's one of the old ones. It's over. It's an older place. Over going towards Oakland, where the old Wheelers Market.
Oh,
What is that called?
North Side?
It's a north side.
The North Side, but there's a subdivision, the North Side.
Yeah.
Is there something? It's right kind of behind to the side of it.
Well, it's condos, or townhomes over there. They've been there for years. Twin Oaks, maybe so. It's one of the Oaks, but it's over $200 per month. But I'll have to say this: even though they are older, some of them have never really been updated, and some of them have. But let me tell you that HOA is over $200 a month, but that has kept no rentals. You can't rent if you own a townhome over there. That's one of the policies. You can't buy it and then rent it out. So it stops all of that. Everything looks uniform. The grass, the whole section, everything is so well maintained and taken care of. The pool still looks good. The playground, they have a basketball court. Everything is very well maintained. And when you have a high association fee like that, that's usually why and what you get because you have that fee. It's very expensive, but it's helped to keep that uniform all these years and everything looking good all these years.
Yeah.
So that's one of the highest ones I know of.
And even when I think about that, I think about what people pay to have their grass cut. Most average, you're going to get your grass cut at least every 10 days.
Right.
Probably pay $50. And that's almost that's
right. And I usually start having my grass taken care of April. A lot of times depends on what the weather's been, but usually April. So you figure April, May, June, July, August, September.
even October.
That's 6 months, of yard maintenance. So, you figure that up, $100 a pop. Something like that. You're up there. So you can look at it that way to kind of justify that monthly every month. What about like some townhomes that are, newer? What kind of prices do you see?
Well, I
Or-
see them. I see them average. I feel like I really don't know. Honestly, I'm not gonna try to lie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's good.
Because I say that I've seen them vary. I mean,
Yeah.
when I think of HOAs, I think about more like neighborhoods. I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
more that I see. Because I see Creeks Bend and Walnut. They have very
Mm-hmm.
low HOAs that
Right.
don't do too much. And I
Right.
feel like even still, sometimes people are like, well, what's that HOA for? What am I paying $25 a month for?
Yeah.
So-
Which is really low. 25
Yeah.
bucks a month. That's super low.
But what do the $25, even though it's so low, what are some of the things that protect the integrity of the neighborhood with those $25 a month
Well,
fees?
really, it's just to maintain those common area type things is
Mm-hmm.
one thing that $25 goes for, and that up yard front in the pull into the neighborhood, the bricks little
Yeah.
sign, the Creeks Bend, all that, the entrance keeps that going. But it does help to keep, because one of the things that you have to do when you buy a home there is the front part of the fencing has to be vinyl siding, white vinyl siding, no matter what. So to me, that keeps all of the front, whoever's going to have a fence, that all looks very uniform. Now on the sides, it can be wooden, it can be chain link, it can be whatever, but on the front, it has to be white vinyl. So I think with that, it keeps everything looking uniform.
Yeah.
But it is a low HOA fee, so it's not a really highly strict neighborhood, whereas if you go somewhere else. Steve, you give me a good example of a higher end neighborhood where the HOA is a little stricter.
Probably Northwoods. That
Would-
would be one of my,
Would you get would you get a little nasty note if you left maybe your
your trailer.
water hose or out, or
Yeah.
your garage door was lifted a little bit, or
Mm-hmm.
your yard needed to be mowed?
Or a car out in the front of the grass with 3 tires and one of them's off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get a lot of folks say, I just don't want a HOA. That's just ridiculous. I ain't paying for it. I don't want to be monitored. And I'm like, well, you're buying this for, probably an investment.
Mm-hmm.
One of the two. Either it's an investment or you're going to live there for the rest of your life. Either or, I would rather not walk out my front door, as me and Liliana saw yesterday at a home that got a deal going, where the guy's got 6 trucks in the front of his grass, and it literally in his grass, and lawnmower sitting out, trailer, lawnmower cutting. I mean, so it's obviously messes with the value of your home.
Right.
Who's going to want to? So it's kind of like, it's not really a catch-22 in my eyes. I think it's a no-brainer. I would rather have somebody kind of speak for me for these people that are
Yeah.
a little bit
Loose.
loose on their. Very good. Thank you for that. I was going to probably say something I didn't need to. But I would rather somebody else speak for me in that aspect instead of me pissing off my neighbor and going over and acting like a jackass.
Right.
Just let somebody else handle that, because that's what the rules are. It helps keep the value up of your home, which is your most valuable investment,
Right.
biggest investment.
Right.
So that's the way I look at it. And I would think, Georgetown, River Bend, I can't say 100% if they have, because those are very well established. Like Riverview, that's probably the neighborhood of Murfreesboro, and they don't have an HOA.
Right.
But it'd be the first time somebody will tell your butt to slow down when you're riding through there. Somebody, the little old lady walking. There's been many times I've driven down Riverview Drive a little bit too fast. and
Yeah.
little
Well,
old lady
I
walking.
think for the most part, here in Rutherford County, HOAs were probably put in place probably about 30 years ago. So Riverview was a little before that time.
Yeah, it was.
So-
It was back in, I got in there in 1972, so it was right in that early
Yeah.
70s. So you
Yeah,
got almost
so-
50 years.
Yeah.
Or 50 years.
Yeah. So, but just about now, every neighborhood that's in Rutherford County definitely has some type of HOA, some type of restrictions of some sort, whether it be you can only have a vinyl siding fence or a wooden fence, or you can't have above ground pool, or you can, it's even some of them even limit to how many dogs you have, or will limit to if you have a certain type of breed of dog, will not allow. Definitely can't have chickens.
No chickens?
No chickens.
Dang.
You
I
can't
can't
have
live there.
chickens, and you can't have swine. So,
Does an HOA have to be established before the neighborhood started?
yes, so the
Okay.
HOA is definitely established before the first home is built in there. All of that is laid out in the development of the neighborhood. All the guidelines, everything is put into order before the first home is sold. The HOA is usually set in place. Now, the number might not be there yet. Might not know exactly,
Yeah.
exactly if it's going to be every month. Some folks do it every month. Some do it twice a year, and then some. I know some that do it one time a year.
Yeah.
So what would be your druther if you had an HOA? Had you rather pay one lump sum and get it over with for the year, or would you rather just pay it, every month?
Yeah, I think I'd rather pay it every month or quarterly.
Yeah.
Then you're
Get it
looking at
over with.
$20-$25 a month.
Right.
If it is one of the higher end,
Right. What if it was $500 for the year?
probably just knock it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so
Forget
too.
about it.
Yeah. Because the thing of it is, if you don't pay that HOA, you'll be in trouble.
Come and get you.
Come
quick.
and get you. Come and get you. Come get your house. So you'll be in trouble. You got to pay the HOA. There's no getting around that. You have to pay it, and it's separate from your payment, your house payment. It's a separate little thing. So
For people that don't know, how is an HOA ran, or who runs the HOA, or who's in charge?
well, it depends. Sometimes there's companies like what's one of the? Is it called Gertner?
Gertner's one of them, yeah, and then there's a PTS, SP, Property Management Solutions.
Yes.
Something, yeah, they do your neighborhood, right?
No, Gertner.
Oh, Gertner, oh, PMST.
Yeah.
Mine's over
What?
$100 a month, and they sent out stuff talking about your basketball goal has to make sure it's painted. Things like that, or your Christmas decoration, or any decorations, it has to be taken down.
A certain time. And,
Yeah, things,
Mhm.
I just feel like that's a little. Why would people just like to be festive and keep lights out?
Yeah.
No,
I'd be
too
in trouble.
extreme.
I'd be in trouble because
Hey.
I've still got some little Christmas tree. Or they're not Christmas trees. They're really these little hanging lights.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. They don't even look like Christmas stuff. But I love them, and I just can't take them down yet because there's nothing green. There's nothing growing yet. And I just love seeing those little lighted trees sitting out there with the lights hanging off of them. So I'd be in trouble.
Well,
It just
My-
doesn't make it fun to live in that neighborhood. I like the HOAs to a certain, as far as the fencing.
Right. Keeping the
it being
uniform.
nice and neat, but they're getting down and dirty. Dang.
Yeah,
I
it
can't-
almost gets to the point that I think a lot of folks feel like it's personal.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, well, wait a minute now. I got to paint the kids' basketball goal.
yeah.
Sometimes that can get a little too much, and I think that's the point. Like Stevie said, when you get buyers and they're like, I do not want an HOA because they've had an experience with someone or with a company that's been like, you have to do this, you can't do that, you got to take this down, you can't put that up there,
Yeah.
I know there was even one neighborhood that I went to. This was actually in Nashville. But some folks, it was getting that graduation time, and you know how people put out class of 22
Those
or
note cards.
the
with
little
letter
the little
cards.
things in the yard, the little yard signs, congratulations so and so, class of 21. Couldn't put them in that neighborhood. It was try to put one up, and it caused World War III. It was ridiculous.
We'll burn it down.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I think, I agree with what you say, Larima. I think HOAs are good because for the aspect of keeping everything uniform, keeping your neighbor from having a neon flashing sign that says open, or having, like Stevie said, a car up on cinder blocks, that's been out in the front, in the driveway for 6 months.
Or empty hot tubs sitting in your front yard.
Or
I've
an
seen
old
it all.
rickety shed that's about to fall down in the
Yeah.
back, so it's, things that they call eyesores, for the other neighbors. And like Stevie said, he's glad that those things are in place, so he doesn't have to be the bad guy and walk next door and say, hey, your neon sign is right in my bedroom window.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to have those out here anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it does keep that from happening. But then, so you've got these bigger companies like Gertner and, what'd you say, PST?
MT.
Property management solution, something.
Yeah. And then you have, other smaller where, smaller neighborhoods like, for instance, Cedar Retreat would be a good one. I know a lot about that. Their association fee was, $30, $38, $39, something like that per month. Some of the things they wouldn't allow were no chain link fencing, no
Not matching carports or sheds.
right. Your garage had to match the brick on the house. You couldn't have any other little sheds or anything like that. So there was a few things that they definitely kept in line and kept in place.
And it definitely makes the neighborhood look.
It
It
does.
just looks nicer.
It
really
does.
does.
It really does. When you pull down the neighborhood, it's just everything is so neat and in place. And with a smaller neighborhood like that, or a smaller, actually a smaller developer or whatever, they would actually be in charge of the HOA until a majority of the neighborhood is complete, and then they would assign that over to someone in the neighborhood. It might be the very first person that moved in if they wanted it to act as president until the neighborhood's complete. So then you would take all your problems to whoever's acting as president.
Janet.
Yep, and that's who would take care of you. So there's different ways. HOA is not the exact for every single neighborhood, and it's
Yeah.
not ran the exact same way. But so what are some pros of not having an HOA?
State your name, please, and your question.
Joe Harris. I have a pro of not having the HOA is I've lost buyers because, like y'all had mentioned, it is separate from your house payment, but they do factor that in as when you get lended from an institution that lends you money. So there was $45 extra a month. It kicked them out of not being able to get the loan for that house.
Yeah.
So that would be a pro of not having one,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have to obviously pay for it. You don't have to get.
Because it's not negotiable.
It is non-negotiable.
Yeah.
If it's $35 a quarter, a month, or a day, or whatever it is, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But they, as y'all know, factor that in. So that would be a pro of not having one.
Right.
Not having to factor that in on your loan.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, another pro if you didn't have an HOA is you could have chickens. And you could have swine or horses or whatever
there in your
else
front
you
yard
wanted.
if you want.
Right in the front yard if you wanted to. But if your yard's big enough for horses, you have to have a couple acres for a horse. Few of them anyway, or they'll run your yard. They will run your field down to nothing if it's not big enough. But anyway.
When I think of an HOA and who it benefits the most, though, I think of like an elderly couple that's retiring that can't get around much. I just think those are the type of people it tends to help the most because they can't get out and cut their grass. They cannot get out and cut their bushes. And most of the smaller communities, there's one right over here off Cason. It's like a older living kind of townhomes. Do you know what I'm talking
Three
about?
Rivers, possibly?
Yep, Three Rivers. And, I've talked to some people that they're looking for things like that because they physically can't go
Right,
cut
you
their
just
grass.
don't want to take care of it.
Yeah. Or for a younger couple that might not have lawn equipment. I mean, lawn equipment's
Right.
not cheap, and they
Right.
might have the ability to do it, but,
Right.
I mean, they just bought a house, they just spent $20,000, $30,000.
Had to get some furniture.
I mean, so that could really, I feel like that could really benefit them, and they might not mind paying that HOA
Mm-hmm.
because in the long run, it's just going to help them out.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you on that too. I think that's a really good statement to make on that. But not all HOAs are going to come cut your grass.
Right.
You have to do it yourself. They'll send you a letter if your grass has not been cut and let you know.
They measure, it just, every week you just expect a letter.
Yeah.
They literally are measuring by the inch.
You got a quarter of an inch you need to chop off.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is really ridiculous. Even if you have a fenced-in backyard, you're still limited on what you can put back there.
We've got an active HOA member in the audience, and she's
Yeah.
sharing some of her thoughts. So
Yeah.
would you say you dislike the HOA?
I would say I dislike the HOA more than I do like the HOA, though. if I had to say. I mean, HOA is good, like I said, for the uniform effect as far as the fencing, things like that, the truck on, some.
Yeah, keeping everything
cylinder
looking,
blocks,
looking good, yeah.
But I feel like a bird bath would be okay, things like
Right,
that.
right.
Hey, Stevie Savisa here with Tommy Davidson team.
Hey, one of the
Hey,
best agents.
hey, one of the best agents. I don't think it's the HOAs. I think it's the president of the HOA is most time the problem in all these neighborhoods because they want to be the sheriff. And once again, this is Stevie Savisa with that comment.
One of the best agents around. Thank you, Weather. Shout out to the man.
Well, I think that's very accurate. A lot of times that can be where the problem lays at can be with the president, I suppose. But I guess the part for me, just my personal, I mean, nobody cares personally what I think, but
Yes,
I
we
care
do.
what you
but
think.
I guess
We
I
all
think
do.
personally for me, I would not like an HOA just because I'm gonna get heated if I get a note every week that I've got to cut my grass, and maybe you're bringing me the note, and I usually cut my grass in the evening on such and such day, and you're giving me a note. I'm gonna get hot. I'm gonna get really hot.
Wait a damn minute now.
Yeah,
Hell.
wait a minute. Yeah, I mean, I think in that perspective of not being able, if I wanted to put out a bird bath, or if I wanted to put up a swing set or something, in the backyard, and, I don't think I would want anybody to tell me, I would have a problem with somebody telling me, well, wait a minute, you can't do that. You can't have bird baths, and you can't have that kind of swing set in the backyard, I wouldn't like that too much.
Yeah.
But if you are in an HOA and you are thinking of putting out a bird bath or a swing set or a pool or getting a dog or anything else, it's always smart to first look at your HOA, call the person that is in charge of that HOA, and just ask a few questions. That'll save you some disappointment, maybe some heartache too if you've bought a swing set for the kids and they can't use it because you can't have that kind. So, it would save a few things for you, a few steps as well.
Well,
Go ahead.
my question is, I mean, how do they even come up with those small little guidelines as far as getting down to painting your basketball goal or having to make sure? I mean, it's like.
The only thing that I could really think of, because I really don't know, but the only thing I could think of that would say, well, the basketball goal the stand has to be black. Maybe somebody else in the neighborhood had a lime green one or a fluorescent
Blinking
pink one
pole.
or something, and it was blinking and it was distracting, and maybe it caused injury because of the color to somebody, and now it's like, well, from now on, all basketball goals have got to be black.
Yeah.
They can't be any bright color.
But from the very beginning, is it established by the developer or the builder?
Yes, in the very beginning, it's established through that. So, and a lot of times, if it's a developer that's done a couple of neighborhoods, a lot of times they'll take those same restrictions from one neighborhood to the next, and just basically change the name of the subdivision, because they're just things to keep things together and keep things looking nice, like not being able to have a shed, it has to match the brick. Only can do vinyl or wood fence, no above ground pools, and that's just across the board. So it's not, not one of the neighborhoods that's gonna give you a nasty note if your grass isn't cut to a certain length or you've left your garage door open, but enough in place to keep everything looking nice. And I think ultimately that's what everybody wants. You don't want to buy a home and then it just, the neighbors take it to the dump, and it just changes the look of the neighborhood. So that's kind of my
Yeah.
my feel on it. That's
Yeah.
my take on it.
Yeah. That's a great take, Shay Warren. It's the best.
Well, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think we covered it all. I think there's good and bads. I think it depends on the person, their situation, and what benefits them. Some people, I know a lot of people hate them because most people feel like you feel.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell me what I can and can't do in my yard.
Right.
If I want to leave my Christmas lights up all year, then that's what I'll do.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I think we covered about everything.
I think we did too. Do we have any other questions or statements from anybody they want to make about this
It's a large
HOA
audience that we got here.
issue? No?
Josh, anything? Do you experience an HOA where you live?
No. It's terrible.
He said that sounds terrible. No,
Yeah.
HOA sounds terrible. Well, I think for the majority, a lot of us do have HOAs, and you know, there's a few of us that don't, and maybe the few that don't wish they did. I don't know. You know, depends on where you live, but
Depends on who you are and where you are.
that's right. That's right. To each its own, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, that's all I've got. Have you got anything
You
else?
split it like a, I don't know what
Like
Josh
a
usually
hair.
says.
Split it like a hair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining the show. If you didn't share the stream, please share it. If you didn't like it, comment on it. If you have any comments about this subject, go ahead, send them in. We'll reply back to you. Guys, we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same place for Real Estate 101.
Have a good one.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye now.